the Global Learning for an Open World Conference. We'll give everyone a minute or two to hop in to our keynote with Marla Hunter. Marla Hunter Hooper is the founder and president of two companies, Live, Love, Teach, LLC, a global education consulting firm, and Live, Love, Swim, LLC, a global mobile swim company that focuses on diversity in aquatics. She has worked with many global organizations and presented to numerous leaders to help create more inclusive organizations. As a first-generation American with Jamaican parentage, born in the South of the United States, Marla is fully aware that diverse backgrounds and voices of our community represented in the collective makes us stronger and better equipped to make positive impacts globally. Marla is an expert in providing DEIJB, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, and belonging training to schools and organizations. I will put her links in the chat as well. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Marla, and please introduce yourselves in the chat, everyone. Take it away, Marla.
Thank you so very much, Lucy. I appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you all are coming from. It's good to have you all here. Welcome, educators, learners, and advocates of education. I'm here today, this evening, morning, afternoon, evening, with boundless excitement and a heart brimming with optimism. So you're going on this journey with me. So together we're on this journey, and it's a voyage into the heart of transformative education. A journey that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusivity, and ignites the flames of positive change in our world. Now, as we come together to discuss this theme, embracing the kaleidoscope, culturally relevant education for a brighter world, it is essential to recognize that diverse cultural perspective enriches our understanding of this vital topic. In that spirit, let me share a bit about my own background. I am a proud Jamaican and a child of immigrants. And growing up, I was immersed in a culture where education was not just valued, it was revered. Jamaican culture, like diverse cultures we celebrate today, is a vibrant tapestry woven from a myriad of influences. It reflects the resilience and creativity of a people who have roots in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the indigenous peoples of the Caribbean. The Jamaican experience is a testament to the kaleidoscope of cultures that can coexist, each contributing to its unique colors and patterns to the overall mosaic. This rich heritage has shaped my perspective on the transformative potential of education and the profound impact it can have when it embraces and celebrates diversity. Now, as we delve into our own exploration of a culturally relevant education, let us remember that our diverse cultural backgrounds offer a multitude of perspectives, each valuable in its own right. Together, we will illuminate the path to a brighter, more inclusive future for all through education that truly embraces the kaleidoscope of cultures. Before I begin, let's give a shout out for our sponsors who make this event what it is. So thank you all so very much. And if you aren't already doing so, make sure you are sharing and connecting with this hashtag and sharing and connecting in the chat as well. Now, don't forget to share, as Carmen San Diego says, where in the world where are you? Where are you in the world today? So me, right now, I'm in Laurel, Maryland, and I am a full-time graduate professor at American University, where I teach incoming educators who at a master's level with culturally relevant teaching and pedagogy in math, science, STEM, and ELA. And I love what I do every single day. So share where you are and what you do. Come with me as we set the stage, the magic of the kaleidoscope. Now, think back, way back to your childhood for a moment. Do you remember gazing through a kaleidoscope, marveling at this ever-shifting patterns and colors? Our world is like that. Our world is a kaleidoscope. It's a mosaic of cultures and perspectives and experiences. And it's within this diversity that we can find that magic of life. In those enchanted moments, you discovered the enchanting magic of the kaleidoscope, a simple yet profound instrument that transformed bits of colored glass into a breathtaking tapestry of beauty. With each twist and rotation, it revealed a new, refreshed perspective and an entire unique story. The kaleidoscope's secret lay in its ability to take individual fragments and weave them in a harmonious whole, crafting a narrative that was greater than the sum of its parts. Just as the kaleidoscope's brilliance emerges from the interplay of its many facets, the beauty of our world is illuminated when we appreciate the kaleidoscopes of cultures that coexist within it. Our shared humanity is enriched when we understand that diversity is not a challenge to overcome, but a gift to cherish. Now, culturally relevant education is not just this buzzword. It's a rally cry for transformation. It is a call to action. Like, think of those trumpets dun, 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 that transcends mere tolerance and takes us into a realm where we celebrate the vast tapestry of humanity. In this transformative approach, we recognize that diversity is not a challenge to overcome, but a profound source of strength and vitality. In the world of culturally relevant education, our classrooms and our world become more than just spaces of acquiring knowledge. They become havens of inclusivity and belonging. Each and every student and ourselves, regardless of backgrounds, find themselves not only seen and heard, but celebrated for who they are. Their unique stories, perspectives, and experiences are no longer separate from the curriculum. Instead, they become an integral part of it, enriching the educational journey for all. Culturally relevant education invites us to step into the shoes of our students, to see the world through their eyes, and to celebrate the unique contributions they bring to the educational kaleidoscope. Now, yesterday marked the 101 first Founders Day of this illustrative organization that I belong to, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. A momentous occasion that highlights the enduring legacy of 7 pioneering educators who laid the foundation of a now global organization. These pioneering 7 founders who were educators had the vision to create an organization that transcends borders and empowers communities through education. Their legacy is a testament to the transformative power of educators. Now, if you don't know what happened in the early 1920s in the United States, let me give you a brief history lesson. So in the early 1920s, the United States was a nation grappling with the aftermath of World War I and facing the challenges of racial discrimination and inequality. Against this backdrop, 7 remarkable women, all educators by vocation, came together to create a sorority that would defy societal norms and pave the way for the brighter future. Also, keep in mind They founded this sorority in 1922 at Butler University, across the street from the Ku Klux Klan. So these women, during this time, when opportunities for African Americans, especially women, were severely limited, discrimination ran rampant, and access to quality education was rare and privileged, they decided to start something new. Their mission was clear: to uplift their communities, especially the African American youth, through the power of education. They recognized that education had the potential to transcend boundaries, to break down the barriers of prejudice, and to empower individuals to shape their own destinies. So they committed to greater service, greater progress. As educators, they blazed the trail for us, showing us that education is a force that can transcend boundaries and illuminate the path to a brighter future. Now, let's let their example remind us of the profound impact educators and those who love education can have on a society, and inspire us to continue their noble work, empowering communities and shaping a world where education knows no boundaries. Okay, so let's not linger in the realm of theory, because, we like theory as educators. Let's journey into the hearts of the classroom where the magic truly unfolds. Picture this: Sicily. No, if you like Golden Girls, you'll catch the reference. But picture this: a group of students engaged in a lively discussion about the cultural differences that make our world so rich. Imagine the energy in the room as they explore history, literature, science through a kaleidoscope perspective. This is where culturally relevant education comes to life, where textbooks become a gateway to education, to understanding, and where curriculum is living, breathing testament to the diversity of human experience. It's this place where educators facilitate not just the acquisition of knowledge, but also the cultivation of empathy. Let's repeat that. They cultivate that of empathy, where students can become active participants in their own education, where the kaleidoscope of cultures become a source of inspiration and wonder. So, as educators and the advocates of transformative learning, I want you to think about the following question: how can all of us, how can we empower our classroom, our children, our students, our world to be dynamic spaces where culturally relevance is not just a concept, but a vibrant reality? How? What would you do? How would you make that work for you? What would it look like? What would it sound like? Consider this. What if we could transform our educational spaces into incubators of empathy and understanding? I remember when I was growing up and in school, not all my teachers were quite empathetic, and didn't let me quite do what it is that I wanted to do to make sure I learned. But those teachers that showed me empathy and let me learn at my pace, I remember them the most. Culturally relevant education does precisely that, elevating our students in our classroom to be more than centers of knowledge and dissemination, but rather arenas for fostering profound connections and meaningful dialogue. It is within these hallowed hallways that students not only learn about diverse cultures, but they develop the crucial skill of empathy, the ability to truly understand and empathize with experiences and perspectives of others. Empathy, the cornerstone of this transformative approach. Empathy has the power to transcend societal divisions and dismantle the walls of prejudice and biases. Empathy. As students engage with diverse narratives, they begin to recognize the common threads that bind us as human beings, transcending the boundaries of race, ethnicity, nationality. Empathy. In the crucible of cultural relevant education, students learn to see the world through multiple lenses, to walk in the shoes of others, and to embrace the rich complexity of our global society. Empathy. This profound shift in perspective empowers students to become not only more compassionate, but also more engaged citizens of the world. Empathy. They acquire the skills to navigate the complexity of the interconnected globe with grace, empathy, and culturally competence. Empathy. Culturally relevant education in its essence is not just about fostering understanding, it's about nurturing the next generation of global citizens who celebrate diversity, advocate for inclusivity, and champion positive change. Empathy. Now, let's embark on this intriguing journey of navigating the challenges that arise when we journey from theory to practice in the realm of culturally relevant education. Because we can't always stay in theory, we need to practice it. In this dynamic discussion, I encourage each of you to share your insights and experiences in the chat, fostering a collaborative environment where we learn from one another. Like, we understand that the shift from traditional teaching methods to culturally relevant ones can be met with challenges. Like, it's not easy. And this is something that I tell my educators every day. Matter of fact, I was telling them that today in class this evening. You talk about you want to be culturally relevant teaching. It's not about just changing what's in the curriculum. It's about building culture in your classroom. Do you know your students? Do you know their lives? Do you know where they come from? Do you know what's happening with them? Do you share you with them? It's not simply about changing the curriculum. It requires a transformative mindset, pedagogy, and institutional support. So, my dear participants, let's do this together. What are the most significant challenges you faced or anticipated when trying to be more culturally relevant? If it's in your daily life, how does that look? If you are an educator, how does that look in your classroom or your institutions? How have you navigated these challenges? And what strategies have proven effective in your experiences? Please share your thoughts in the chat and feel free to respond to one another. This exchange of insight and solutions is where our collective knowledge shines brightly. Now, I know for me, the challenge has been the fact of, in the beginning, I have to remove my biases. And when I tell my students that, they're like, what? I was like, yeah, because everybody has a bias. So I have to go in with the knowledge of saying, Professor Hunter Hooper has biases. Okay, I acknowledge my biases. Now, what do? How can I move forward so that what it is that I'm saying, what it is that I'm doing, um, can help my students. That's the conversation that I have to think about all the time. Yeah, this is a personal thing. Um, we talk about this as if it's so textbook, and it's not. This is personal. Like this is a personal work that you have to do within before you start doing it out and helping other people with it and being honest about it. So consider for a moment this profound ripple effect that life has, that intricate pattern that that merges in Kaleidoscope's ever shifting mosaic. The impact of this educational paradigm exists far beyond the classroom walls, reaching into the very fabric of society and leaving a mark on the world. And this kaleidoscope of impact, each student who experiences and each person who experiences culturally relevant education becomes a catalyst for change. They carry with them knowledge, empathy, and understanding nurtured within these transformative rooms. As they step out into the world, they are not only embracing diversity, but actively celebrating it, inspiring those around them. Okay. Moreover, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my own journey. I've been a swim coach since 1995. Don't try to calculate the age. I mean, I'm up there, but not too up there, but I'm there. And over the years, I have had the privilege of touching the lives of countless individuals, especially those in the underserved Black and Brown community. Through this extensive coaching experience, my aim has always been impart not only swimming skills, but also the core values of discipline, teamwork, and perseverance. What's fascinating is how the ripple effect of my coaching legacy and it weaves with the principles of culturally relevant education that we're discussing today. And this is before I even knew that this was a term. And I was doing this in 95 before I even realized I wanted to even be an educator. It underscores the vital role of mentorship and empowerment in shaping the next generation of learners and leaders. So, as these students and mentees go on to become leaders and educators and advocates in their own right, they carry forth the torch of cultural inclusivity and empathy. They, in turn, inspire others to embrace the kaleidoscope of cultures, further magnifying this ripple effect. And so the impact continues to expand, touching communities, institutions, societies at large. In this way, culturally relevant education transcends the boundaries of classroom, fostering a global movement of positive change. It is a testament to the transformative power of education, a reminder that each of us has the potential to be a ripple in the pond, creating a wave of understanding and acceptance that stretches far and wide. Together, we can turn the kaleidoscope of impact into a force for positive change, shaping a brighter, more inclusive future for all. And now, my friends, we have arrived to the heart of our journey, a call to action. Each one of us, as educators, parents, learners, and or advocates, has a role to play in embracing this kaleidoscope. It starts with open hearts and open minds. It requires us to challenge our biases, broaden our perspectives, and create spaces for diverse voices to thrive. In conclusion, the journey of embracing the kaleidoscope is not just about education, it's about shaping a brighter world. It's about empowering learners to become global citizens who celebrate diversity, cultivate empathy, and stand as beacons of positive change. As we part ways from this part of the sessions, let's remember that the future is in our hands. The call to action is clear. Let's embrace the kaleidoscope and pave the way for a world where education knows no boundaries and where every individual's unique story enriches our collective narrative. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to this transformative power of education and for helping me to honor the legacy of my illustrative organizations, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, as well. Together, we can create a brighter, more inclusive future for all. I thank you all for coming. This has been great. Now, I'm here to answer any questions that you all may have. In my house. Oh. I like, it's great that you support. Is it Jeanne or Janine? Oh, Lisa, yes, of course. To speak about how to help people do the work on themselves before by that. This is about asking yourself these questions. You have to actually think about. So I like to tell people there's a difference between biases and prejudices. And most of the times when people say that somebody is prejudiced, it's more so a bias than it is a prejudice. Biases are things that you just don't like. And that sometimes there might be a stereotype about it, and that you have decided to continue with that stereotype, whether you think it's true or not. And so therefore, for example, when I began teaching swimming, I was the youngest person and I was the only Black person at that organization where I started teaching. And I was teaching group lessons to start off with before I started doing private lessons. And I would never have any students that looked like me. All the students that were coming in and out of the organization were white. And I did have a couple of parents who pulled their child out of my group and told my director they didn't want their children in my class because Black people can't swim. That's a stereotype that now became a bias for them. They also said that Black people can't swim because their bones are too dense. And that's something that has been going on. And even though we have Olympic swimmers who are Black and divers who are Black, there are still some people who have that bias. And my director said to them, Marla, I know you can swim. It's up to you what you would like me to do. And I said, you can pull them. You can put them in somebody's class. It doesn't bother me. I said, because I know what I can do. And they didn't know what I could do. And so halfway through the structured, a certain amount of classes, those same parents were wanting their kids back into my class. Why? Because even though I wasn't a educator yet, I knew what I would want if I had children and in a group session. So I did that for my students. And so instead of having, I would take one person out and everybody, all other 5 were waiting up there, I would give everybody a task as I'm working with one student, bring them back. Now that person has a task. So everybody is still moving. But when they pulled their children from my group and put them with somebody else, that other person didn't do what I do. And so now all of a sudden they see how good I was and that they want them back. And I would just tell them to their face, I'm sorry, you can't bring them back because remember, I can't swim. But then next sessions they would request me. And I would forgive and I would have empathy and I'd let them join my class. And their students became very good swimmers. So that is my example of a bias. Something that somebody believes to be true that is not always true. That is a lot of times that is circled and built in dislike. I wouldn't say hate, but dislike and stereotypes. Yeah, it really is a full circle moment because my number has not changed. My cell phone number has not changed. And I always give my clients my number. And those children are now like in their 20s and they still randomly call me talking about if I'm available for private swim lesson for their kids. Any other questions? That was a great question. I'm trying to go up to see if there are any questions. But if there are any other questions, what are my favorite resources? Oh, I'm gonna have to put them in my chat because I have a lot. Who you should be reading? My backpack is here. What I'm going to do, because I have a long list and it's hard for me to just put one. Yes, I can. I can put. No, I won't judge you by what you're reading. Absolutely not. Yes. Okay. You put one in the Q&A. Okay. Let me see. Comments live. I can't see the Q&A on this side. So Vicky, what I'll do is I will go to the Q&A and answer in the Q&A for you. And then what I'll also do is I'll come back in this chat in the comments because this is ongoing. And I'm not yelling. Yes, navigating the workplace. That is a good one. And thank you for listing the link. What I'm going to do is I do have a PDF that has what impact does this have in who we teach? Oh, it has an impact in everyone you teach. A lot of times people just think that this only impacts children of color, but it doesn't. it impacts everyone. Because a lot of times we're not just living within the classroom setting. There's a real world. So therefore, you have to come in contact with every single person. And so this means one of the things that I teach my educators, and I tell them, if you don't learn anything from this semester, the thing that I want you to learn, whether your religious affiliation, whatever you believe as far as God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, whomever, I say grace and mercy. Culturally relevant teaching, education, pedagogy is rooted in grace, mercy, and empathy. My thing is, you have to give people grace and mercy, even if you don't think they're deserving of it. And that's a hard one. Like giving people grace and mercy, even though they don't deserve it. And then also think about it. Who are we to say whether they deserve it or not? Because we would love grace and mercy. As individuals, we want people to give us grace and mercy. So whenever I think about anything, whether somebody has extended grace and mercy to me, I'm going to always extend grace and mercy to the other person. Dr. Freed, I have to. The thing is, that's how I was taught. And for me, like I talk about how people may be unkind to me. Like when growing up, I grew up in the South. And I'll be honest, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. When I was growing up, there were no Jamaicans around outside of my parents and a couple of other people around. So I was getting teased all the time. Like, to you all, I might sound really, really Southern, but to people in Memphis, I don't. I sound different. I sound funny. And I got teased a lot. So I had to learn how to forgive people early, and also learn that forgiveness isn't for them, it's for me. Like, forgiving people, it has nothing to do with the other person. And this is like one of those things that is deeply rooted within culturally relevant education. Like having the empathy and forgiving people for their wrongdoings. So it has nothing to do with the forgivee. It has everything to do with the forgiver. It has everything to do with me. Oh, I'm glad you said that, Lucy, because I remember Sandy Hook. I was teaching in Nashville, and I still think I have that YouTube video up. My students, when they heard about it, they were in first grade too, and they did a video to those children, parents who lost their children, and wrote letters to them. So yes, forgiveness, empathy, and forgiveness. It's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. So you have to remember, again, if you don't remember anything I said either on culturally relevant teaching or pedagogy, just remember grace and mercy and forgiveness. Grace, mercy, and forgiveness. If you're able to execute those, then you can do this culturally relevant teaching pedagogy thing. Because this will be easy if you have grace, mercy, and forgiveness. Are there any other questions or comments before we go, so that you all can take a break before next sessions or anything like that?
I'll pop in here and say thank you, Marla. It's been a treat listening to you, and I hope that other people will connect to you and learn more about your work going forward. Your students are lucky to have you, and I'm out of curiosity at American University. What are some of the courses that you teach in general? Is it all on DEI
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
or is
yeah. So what it is the program is based in culturally relevant teaching and pedagogy. And so these are brand new educators. They've never taught before,
Mm,
and they're going in and being in host classroom. So the class I taught the first part of the semester was elementary STEM in the classroom and
okay.
being able how it looks, because we know that a lot of times science is the last thing that's done in school. So how to integrate science within all subjects and how it looks for your students. Then this one I'm doing counting and cardinality. I know that sounds weird, but in layman's terms, what it means is I get to work with these elementary educators in early counting and connections for young children. So how does math look like to a 3-year-old?
And then you're weaving the
Yeah,
DEI stuff
and
into
I'm
it.
weaving the DEI into all of that with them.
Okay, because I also think there, I with brand new teachers, everybody assumes certain things. Well, they're younger, so they must be tech savvy, or they're younger, so they must be more aware of things, or
They're
whatever.
not.
It's not.
They are
It's
not.
not always the case, and so I think having explicit modeling of what this looks like and guidance is really crucial. Um, in terms of professional development, what
Mhm.
kinds of work do you work with schools and other
I work
groups
with
on this?
schools. Yeah, I work with schools. I work with NGOs. Do I travel? Yes. I'll be in Malta in March and then Paraguay
Oh,
the
wow.
week after. So,
What does that look like? What does your work with organizations look like?
it looks like however they want it to be. So I'm very open. A lot of times if you ask me, I can do it or I have done it.
Mm,
So I don't like giving people a long list of things because it's a lot. So I've
yeah.
been doing this for 23 years. So I love math. So if you ask me anything in math, I'll do workshops in math. But anything how it goes for also, I'll have a lot of organizations, whether they're education or not, that is wanting a restorative justice. So I'm trained in restorative justice and restorative circles. So I'll get a lot of organizations that have had some issues and they want to bring me in to help them with restorative
Mhm.
circles and how to start that process. Also with schools as well. Um, Culturally relevant teaching and pedagogy at Gravelands, and so that means from early childhood, so 3-year-olds on up to 12th grade, and then of course at the collegiate level, collegiate and university level. Um, and
So you came to us because of Kevin Simpson,
mm-hmm,
who
mm-hmm,
has worked in international schools, and you have too. And there's
yes.
been some international school initiatives to address equity and to support people of color. Do you want to make a plug for any of those kinds of things that you all are working on potentially?
Sure, sure. If you don't know ALOC, let me put that in here. ALOC, if you just Google that, ALOC is the organization. It's called the Association of International Educators and Leaders of Color. I work with ALOC. I'm one of the founding partners with ALOC, and we work with global education organizations, making sure they are actually following these procedures that they want. If they say, "Oh, we have these DEI initiatives," then We're saying, okay, you do. How much are you doing them? And we come in. So also with that, I work with ISS, and I'm on their diversity collaborative. So I also work with AMISA. That's who I'm going to with Paraguay, and working with the schools in South America to do things with. I'm working with CISA in Malta to do some sessions for them as well. So yeah, I'm glad, Ellen. I'm glad you think ALOC is fantastic. We do too.
It's a small international school world too out there, and it sounds to me, just from following a lot of people over the years, that I think a lot of private schools in general, not just international schools, are also struggling with diversity issues, and particularly around hiring and retaining. And so I think having organizations like this that are promoting it are really helpful. For those of you who may be here in the U.S., and I don't know if it's open to people outside the independent school world, but the People of Color Conference that NAIS puts on, people really love that conference as well. I've never been to it, but my previous school sent a team every year, and people really enjoyed it. So that's something to know. It's something that you might, another resource for you out there. Anything else that you want us to know in terms of getting more aligned and more aware in our work?
It takes time. Please don't think that it's coming overnight. I also want to say that a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm an ally. And I'll explain this. As people of the global majority, but are minority within specific arenas, we don't need any more allies. We have enough of them. Allies are those people that have read all the books. Like, you read all the books. You can tell us everything that happens. You can even pat us on the back and tell us it's going to be okay. What we need more of are abolitionists and co-conspirators. We need people who are going to say, okay, I can help here. Unburden yourself, unload yourself, and let me help you. Let me stand out in front of you.
So more upstanders, more than bystanders, and
yes.
And more action. Our whole thing about Glow is taking action. Like, what are the actionable things you can do coming out of this conference? And so I think that's a really great way to end the session, for everyone to kind of think about what's the next step for them personally in this journey, because it's, again, back to the personal. It takes time. It's personal, but you have to do something, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Marla's information is up here. She's in the conference website too, so you can connect to her as well. And I hope that you guys all have a good evening. We have one more keynote in a couple hours that is going to be enlightening as well. It is 3 professors from the Pacific, Australia, Pacific. I can't even talk anymore. From the I'm so tired. Anyway, 3 professors from New Zealand, Australia, and Thailand. One of them works for UNESCO, talking about global citizenship education and their work. So I hope you'll join us. Take it, and there's also a slew of sessions coming at the next hour too. Please, everyone, support our speakers and come if you can. Thank you, Marla, for your time and expertise.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it, and we hope that you get some great connections out of this conference, and please say hello to Kevin Simpson for us too.
I will. Thank you. Good night. Goodbye, everyone.